Hello, hello, and welcome to the Paisley Painted. Wow, the Paisley Penny Arcade. I am Mo Abdelbaki, and today is November the 4th. No, it isn't. It's November the 5th of 2025. Wow. Yeah, it is. It is November the 5th of 2025. And hi, everybody. Hi, listening on the radio, live and in the future, if you're doing so. Hope you're enjoying your flying cars. And those of you watching me on YouTube wondering, what is he on? High on life, man. That's what I'm on. I'm high on life. So how you doing? I forgot to remove Oogie Boogie. However, Samhain is tomorrow. You're saying, hey, Mo, you keep saying this. You keep saying that Samhain is on November the 6th. It is. I'm going to explain that to you. And why is it important? I'm going to explain that to you too. It is important. It's actually quite important. It's tremendously important. It's ridiculously important, I think. And things that are important to me are usually just important to me. But I'm going to tell you all about it. So first of all, how are you? Are you doing well? Are you doing okay? I hope you're doing great. I hope you're doing fantastically. Yeah, because it would be nice if you are. Yeah, it would be very nice if you are. I would love it if you are, because I really do care. I care. I may put on a hat. I have my fan overhead going, and that may have been a mistake. It's a wee bit chilly. It is a wee bit chilly. And I'm not going to get up and turn it off because I am essentially lazy. And not only that, but in the middle of a show to get up and stand up and leave the chair empty and walk around and go turn off I don't have a remote control fan. No, that would have been, too far thinking. So the fan is going to blow on this noggin of mine. But all I have to do is put on a hat. My son gave me this hat. I saw my son for coffee last week. And his name happens to be Zach. And but the Z actually stands for the Zephyrs. There used to be a team here in town known as the Denver Zephyrs. And I would go to the Denver Zephyr games. And he would go with me when he was but a lad. And I used to go during the day and by myself, because for $1.50, that's right, for a thin $1.50, you could go and you'd get a parking place. You'd get a parking place and a beer and a hot dog and a scorecard and a mini pencil. And you could sit through a doubleheader sometimes, and you could sit behind of the owner of the team and kibitz and say, you should spend a little more money. And I would be tanned from the right side of my face. No, this is the right side of my face. From the right side of my face on. Because you sit there and the sun was over here. And that's why they call southpaws, because baseball stadiums face the way they do. And it's their left side, and that's facing south. And so I'd be back in public, and the right side of my face would be absolutely burned, and the left side would be not burned. And but that's how I learned to score baseball games, because there was an old timer sitting in back of me. And he'd say, "You want to learn to score the game?" And I said, "Sure." He said, "Come on over here, sit." And he taught me how to score the game. I love scoring the game. And you'd be in this huge mile-high stadium, and there'd be 100 people there. It holds 75,000. Oh, I guess I should take that tag off. I don't know. But so I had an old Zephyr's hat, and I gave it to him. It was in terrible shape, just terrible shape. And it didn't even, the bill was all weird, and because it was like 1,000 years old, but he saw one for sale at a shop, and he got it for me. And I love that. I love that he did that. He's good to the old man. We had a cup of coffee, and he's a man himself now. Very cool. Anyway, do I need it? I may need it. I'll take it off for now. But, oh, the glare. Oh, the glare. Oh, the glare. Renee, how are you? Welcome to the chat room. What chat room sayest thou? Oh, that is glary. Come into the YouTube chat room. Talk to me. Talk to me. I'd love to talk to you back. And I will talk to you. Renee, how are you? It's good to see you. It is good to see you. I love it when you come in and talk to me. I've had a radio show now for about 15, 16 years, and now it's live, and it's always been live, and I get to actually see you there, and I love that. So come on in. Come on in. And don't forget to subscribe and like if you like, and all that stuff, that YouTube stuff. But subscribing is good. I've got like 800 and some subscribers. I'd like to get up to 1,000 because I think then I get a cookie. Yeah. And I need a cookie. I need a cookie. I'm going to show you some cool stuff today. I'm going to talk about some cool stuff. Like what are cross-quarter days? So Samhain, let's talk about Samhain. Now, first of all, why is it called Samhain and not Samhain? There is an actor, his name is Donald Gleason. You've seen his dad. What's his name? It's Gleason. Oh, I can't remember his name. He played Mad-Eye Moody in Harry Potter. And Brendan Gleason. And he was in a movie with Colin Farrell. And because they're like bestest friends, and then so on and so forth, and so forth and so on, and anyway, the younger Donald was one of the Weasley brothers. I believe he was the eldest. Was he the eldest Weasley? The one who got, I don't know. He was one of them, and he was in Peter Rabbit. He played McGregor, the farmer, I think he was, and then he turns out to be a nice guy after all. So, and his name is spelled D-O-M-N. Thank you, Renee. Happy Samhain to you. And Samhain is spelled Samhain, right? I always thought that I wanted to have a character in a novel named Samuel Hain or Sam Hain. But it's one of the idiosyncrasies of Celtic, the language, and the M gives it an O-ish sound. I say O-ish. I looked it up. And that's kind of what you should do when you have a question like that. You should look it up, right? And his name is spelled D-O-M-N. I thought it was H-A-L. Maybe it's just A-L. So someone said, why do you spell it that way? He said, to confuse Americans to thinking that my name is Dominal. Dominal Gleason, But it's just Donal. And it just holds an O sound. So it's Samhain. And that's how it's pronounced. It's not Samhain. Now, I was watching a show where there was a supposed genius. The guy was brilliant. Genius. IQ above 185, which is supposedly the top of the... And I knew a guy who had, God rest his soul, he was just a sweetheart of a fellow. Bigamist. Yeah, that's a different story. Guys with IQs that high, they have an eidetic imagery. It was amazing. The guy was phenomenal. And so bright, so brilliant, so sweet, so kind. Drank. I mean, he was just a wonderful guy. I loved him so much. And, he was just a fantastic guy. And I've known some pretty smart fellers in my time. And that meaning women too. And anyway, so this guy on the TV show was one of these guys with one of these incredibly high IQs. And this guy with this incredibly high IQ, he supposedly he was going to talk about Samhain, and he said, yes, the old Celtic holiday of Samhain, and I quit watching the show because of that, because of the mispronunciation. Now, you wouldn't naturally fault someone for that, but he's supposedly this brilliant guy, and brilliant people generally have a tendency to look things up. They just do. They want to see how, gee, why is something, or well, boy, that's an interesting pronunciation. But whoever wrote the show gave this to the guy and said, okay, you're going to just read this. And, Sam Hain, and it's not, and it just ruined it for me. It just dropped the bottom out of it, so. Oh, by the way, Anne, thank you so much for your comment about last week's show. Very kind of you. I haven't had a chance to write back yet. This is how we write nowadays, That's what I do. But thank you so much. Yeah. So what's the big deal about all of this? Well, what do we care about these holidays? Well, they're the tune of the earth. What is Samhain actually? Well, it's what's called a cross-quarter day. What are cross-quarter days? There are 4 of them. Ka-ching. Ka-ching. 4 of them. And there are 4 quarter days. If there are cross-quarter days, there probably are 4 quarter days. And the 4 quarter days are the equinoxes and the solstices. Oh, I was afraid of this. The wind is blowing... Oh, pardon me. Let's see. There we go. Just wait a minute. Wait a minute. It's coming. It's coming. Yeah, no. It's the wind is blowing. I love these days. The wind is blowing. These days remind me of things. I'm actually think I'm going to write about that for my Power Peak article. For those of you who don't know what a Power Peak is, oh, you should listen to me now. Mark Husson, my friend of 30 plus years, has a thing called the Power Peak. Mark's Power Peak. And it's a free newsletter. Absolutely free. C.A. Brooks, who is an astrologer, and a pretty good one, too. She writes a weekly, daily, what you ought to do, what you should look for. It's a lot of work. I used to do a weekly, daily. Was it daily or weekly? It's been so long, I don't remember. But I used to write a thing, and I finally said, I'm done. I am absolutely done with that. Not going to do that anymore. Yeah, I used to do it. She still does it, and it's good. It's good. She has a radio show, too, on 1-2 Radio. And here on YouTube, it's called Everyday Astrology. I'm on it once a month. Won't be on it this month, but next month. Yes, sirree, Bob. Second Tuesday. And I think my sister may be listening. I don't know if she is or not, but I bet she may be. She may not be. I told her about this. I tell people about this, and, oh, did you listen? They're like, to what? So anyway, but Mark is in there, and I'm in there. I write every week an article, and it's a column, I guess we would call it that, to make it sound a little more official. But you should. It's free. All you have to do is sign up for the newsletter. To do that, you go to 12house.com. 2house.com. Enough plugs. I'll plug my friend Bjorn's watch later. Bjorn of Yes Watch. One word. The reason I'm wearing it is because this time of year I wear it a lot. But tomorrow it's going to tell me that it's Samhain. Why is it Samhain tomorrow? Because it's cross-quarter day. Let me get back into that. So the quarter days are the equinoxes and the solstices, and the cross quarter days are the days in between those days that our ancestors watched meticulously. For example, in ancient Egypt, tomorrow was the day that was the raising of the Djed pillar. The Djed pillar, D-J-E-D, more or less, which was the backbone of Osiris, which was raising him again from where he was no longer raised. Do you see what I'm saying? So it was very important. It was like coming back from the dead, as in Dias de los Muertos. I don't know if I'm saying that right. The Day of the Dead, Dia de los Muertos, which I find to be incredibly moving and brilliant. A brilliant celebration, which was yesterday and the day before, I think, or the second and the third. And then we also have the day of the. That's my sister talking to me. She knows I'll talk to her later. She forgot. So we have these things that happen around this time. Why is that? So why do these different cultures have this concept of the thin veiling? No, the veil thinning around this time. What is that? Why do this? Because they observe. You look around, you see that the trees lose their leaves and they begin to look like they're dying. But they're not dying. The plants, the fields, you have plants that are, some are annuals, right? And those annual plants, they do say goodbye. Bye-bye now. And you have to replant them the next year so that they come back. But then there are perennials, which look like they're saying goodbye, goodbye, like John Barleycorn, which does say goodbye. And you have to replant the seed, and it has to come back, or else you don't get to eat. You see? So there's a lot of interesting things that happen this time of year. And you're looking at your family, you're saying, well, are we going to be able to eat? I'm a little worried, So you look around at the earth, and you look around at animals, and you look at what they're doing and what you're doing, and how are you going to do it, and what's the deal? And you look at the world, and you look at the sun, which is every day going a little bit lower and lower and lower and lower and lower. And it's not as strong as it used to be. No. And you notice that there are points that are 45 days opposed or later than the solstices and the equinoxes. These are the cross-quarter days, right? Right. So the cross-quarter days are the biggest one, the granddaddy, if you will, or grandmother of all the cross-quarter days is Samhain. And it is not on the 31st of October. That was done to try and take some of the teeth out of it, if you will, by the church. Because the next day is All Saints' Day, right? So All Hallows Eve. All Hallowed Eve. All Hallows Eve. Very big deal, All Hallows Eve. Let's make it so important that it's the evening before, but it carried with it all the pomp and circumstance and kind of the heavy, because Samhain was about this thinning of the veil and the importance of the fact that it's about life and life after. And I think Samhain has always been about the importance of life and appreciating life, because that's what all of these are about. If you look at the Day of the Dead celebrations all over the world, the Latin world, you could see that it's a party. It's a party. People dressing up and looking with makeup of skeletons and skeleton costumes and saying, one day, right? One day we will no longer be in flesh. One day, we will no longer be able to smell bread baking, eat food, love, kiss. Oh, kiss. Oh, the passion of a kiss. Oh, my God. Being able to hug someone, whether it be a friend or a lover or a grandchild or your own child, or to shake the hand of somebody, or to meet new people, or to walk in a marketplace and look at all the things for sale and all the colors and all the wonders of the world and hear water in a stream. Oh, to hear the leaves in the trees rustling. Oh my. Or to feel the crunching of leaves underneath you in the fall. Or to see the leaves in the trees as they change color. Or to feel the crisp winter air. We don't really know what's coming. Some people claim to, and maybe they do, but I don't. So life for me, is every single day glorious. It is absolutely wonderful. It is glorious. I love it. I embrace it every day, and I give it a big kiss on the lips. I am grateful for it. Everything I eat, and I do like to do that, everything I eat, I try and taste fully. Even some of the lesser things that I eat, you know what I mean? I mean, not everything I eat is excellent, but everything I do, I consider to be, it's stuff that's good. And even if it's bad, I try to taste that and say, I don't want to eat this anymore, be it fast food or whatever. I want to take good things in and appreciate good things and things that are lovely and have flavor. And that's what this celebration is about. What you want to do is eat something that is beneficial for you, is from the earth. Because the earth, the earth provides poisons. It does. But usually around that poison is an antidote. It's just a fact that close by somewhere, there will be something that is going to be okay. It's kind of an interesting thing. That's kind of one of those things about living on this wondrous planet. And so we know what's good for us. Do we always do it? Oh, heck no. We don't. We are what we are. We are who we are. Right? We are who we are. There's a lot we are. There's a lot we aren't. But we can usually judge that, engage that. Samhain is the 6th of November because that's 45 days after the autumnal equinox. Now, 45 days from now, pretty close, is the winter solstice. And that is when the sun will be at its very lowest point on the ecliptic. The ecliptic is the so-called imaginary line that the sun makes on its journey through the sky every year. Right? Mm-hmm. This is known as the analemma. Oh, look at that. What does that trace? Can you see what that traces? Yes, the lemniscate, right? The so-called symbol for eternity. And depending on where you live, it's usually small at the bottom, bigger in the top. Doesn't matter. You see it on a map. On that day, it is the shortest day of the year. because the sun rises as far south as it can rise. Oh, I'm so tired. And it does this, and then it just goes boom, boom. Up a little bit for a little while, and then down. Depending on where you live. Now, if you're living in high latitudes, like Norway, Alaska, parts of Alaska, you may have no sun at all. None. Zero. Zippity doo dah. Don't sue me, please. I didn't mean to. You may have no sun whatsoever. That's right. It's just dark. And that's because it just goes around the horizon, a little bit below it, and then eventually it does a little bit above it, and it's kind of fascinating. God, it's wondrous. It's absolutely wondrous, isn't it? It's just fascinating stuff, and we get to live on this planet and observe it. If you're lucky enough to be up there, you also get to see the aurora. These colors, these brilliant colors, caused by the ionization of particles in the atmosphere. I've never seen it. I hope to someday. Maybe I will. I'm still around. But if I don't, that's okay. If I don't, that's okay. I don't need to see everything this time around. I have not seen an eclipse. I chose that because I didn't like the way it felt. And sometimes you just have to go by your intuition. I could have driven 2-3 hours and seen a total eclipse of the sun, and I chose not to. I didn't like the way it felt. And you have to go with that. Now this mala, well, it's not all, it's beads, but for me it's very, these beads I exposed to a lunar eclipse as it was rising. It was rising eclipsed. About went out of my mind. I was kind of nuts. I think my wife is beginning to think I am kind of nuts, to be honest with you. Between you and me, I think she really believes that. That's because I'm becoming a little more open of who I really am. I'm telling you things I don't tell most people, like last week's show. My friend, by the way, I'm feeling that he has kind of returned back to where he ought to be, or wants to be. And that's nice. It's a good feeling. So Samhain is that thinning. Why? Because we are still right here, but there is still a heavy presence in nature of dying. We see it in the plant world, and to our ancestors, if it was present on Earth, it was present everywhere, all over the place. That kind of makes sense, doesn't it? If it was present here, it was present there. It's present everywhere. It's all around. It's as above, so below, so they said. So that's why Samhain actually is on the 6th of November. Now, if the equinox takes place at a different day, it can be on the 5th or it can be on the 7th, but it's going to be right around there. Now, equinox or Samhain will take place on sundown. Boom. And it will go all night. It's most powerful. And then on sunrise, it'll relax, more or less. and the veil will be not sealed, but for the most part. And then go about your business. How to celebrate this, how to observe it. I think it's important to observe it. I have been, I would call myself a solitary observer of these things for a long time. I've been that way because I haven't been around a lot of people who've wanted to engage in my reindeer games, so to speak. But if you want to do something, I like to do it. I like to, for example, I will set this watch automatically will beep at sundown, wherever I set it to be. So I'm going to set it for where I live. It knows I live here because it's known that for a long time. So at sundown, it will beep and say, Mo, the sun has set. And I will take that moment and I will take a deep breath. And pause. And it's about intention. It's more powerful than thoughts and prayers when it comes to a shooting, for example. A shooting takes action of some sort. Thoughts and prayers are important, but it's more important to do something. This is about saying, just a second. The moment has come. Actual sundown. I do that every day, by the way. Sundown. I don't do sunup because I'm not crazy. If I were more into waking up early, I might do that. Actually, matter of fact, maybe someday I will. But I like to sleep through sunup. I've never been that big a fan. I'm not that big a fan of sundown, to tell you the truth. Those transitions don't always do me good. Moonrise I love. God, did you see the moon last night when it rose? The full, I'm going to say it, the full beaver moon. You there, snickering in the back. Principal's office right now. Okay? It's not funny. It is, but that's a different story. Yeah, indigenous name for it, the beaver moon. That's enough. That's enough. It's gorgeous last night here. Oh my goodness, it was big. It's a super moon. There was some haze, so it was glowing. I know the man in the moon. I met the man in the moon when I was about 22 after a weekend in the mountains camping out. The first and only time I was comfortable outdoors in a sleeping bag. And he rose full, and I met the man in the moon, and he said, Mo, I am your friend. I was born on the full moon, just 3 minutes before full. And he was coming up, and he said, do you remember me? And I said, oh, my God, do I ever? You, and I've loved him all my life, but I saw his face. The personality was there, the face of the man in the moon, and I've never not seen it again. He's friendly. I've also seen the woman in the moon. There are some pictures that I show before this show starts. I don't know how long I'll do that I've drawn. And there is a woman, and there is a Sisyphus, and there's a man carrying wood. All of those can be seen in the moon. There's a hare leaping. There is a Easter bunny with an egg. All of those can be seen in the dark spots of the moon. I just sat down and just drew them in those spots. Yeah, they're all there. I actually have an oracle called the Man in the Moon Oracle, I think is what it's called. Yeah, it's on the site that sells my cards. Um, one of one of them is crying. It's the blue moon, and I just thought I did it as a lark, with tears and crying because we're not always happy. And someone said, "I hate that card. I tore it up." And that's you bought it, tear it up. But we're not always happy. So it was gorgeous, and tonight it's going to be full, and it's going to be outstanding. So if you get a chance, right around sundown, take a look to the east and see if you can catch, within a little while, that face. Anyway, so what I think Samhain is really about, me, is I'm not going to talk about all the old traditions and all that stuff because all you have to do is type it in and everyone's going to tell you it's on the 31st. And they're going to tell you all about the old traditions and so on and so forth, and that's fine. And that's fine. And everyone's going to tell you that the Celts invented it, which is what a lot of people think, and maybe but there's really no solid historic evidence of that, and I don't, and that I can find. But that's fine. I don't. It's not important. What's important is what it's really about, and I'll tell you about what to eat and stuff. Samhain is about you loving life. It's a reminder, isn't it? It's a reminder that this is a time for us to embrace life again. Now, I think that every day is that, but there are some days when it's not so easy for reasons. Renee's saying it's overcast and rainy here. Oh, I'm sorry, Renee. Hoping the moon will peek out from the clouds. Maybe it will. Lisa. Hi there, Lisa. How are you? Welcome to the chat room. Come on in. Yeah. Hopefully it will, but you'll know it, but it's there. That's the key. The moon is there. Yeah. This tomorrow is a day of gratitude. Gratitude. Because there will be a day when I will be on the other side of the veil. And I'm going to be absolutely dead honest with you. That's no pun intended, but it's a good one. I have no idea what stands on the other side of life other than not life. I don't have any real idea. And I'm also going to say that I don't actually care. And I know that seems wrong, especially being a metaphysician or whatever that means and whatever that is. I know that that's something that seems just bizarre. But the truth of the matter is, I have no clue. I'm more involved with what's on this side, you see, because I love this side. Someday, I won't be here anymore. And I think that what this whole idea of Samhain is about is to say, yes, get it, know it. Remember those who have passed before us. Love them. Remember what they loved. What did they like to eat? My dad loved a type of Egyptian cheese that was cultured called mish. Mish was a type of cheese that was eaten in ancient Egypt. Egypt. And they have found it in tombs. It's very strong, very, very, very strong, extremely salty. So, I mean, a little bit at a time. And it isn't for the uninitiated. You really have to, I love the stuff, but it's hard to find. Um, it would tear me up now because I'm an old man. But boy, is it Pamela. Pamela, welcome. Welcome to the chat room. So nice to see you. Um, he loved the stuff. What you do is you put a little olive oil in it, you chop up some tomatoes, some cucumbers, you mix it in, and full medemus fava beans that are dried. Then you boil them, and then you mash them with also maybe some tahini and and some olive oil and some lime. I like lime. Some people like lemon, and you mash them up, and oh boy, with some pita bread and breakfast, breakfast, and we used to sit and falafel, you know. So happy to have you in the chat room, Pamela. Welcome. It's just a wonderful thing that you remember what people liked. A cup of tea. I'm drinking some tea now. It's cold, but that's okay. I don't mind. I don't mind that ever. You know, it tastes the same. I used to sit and have one of my favorite memories of all time in my life was at 18. My family went to Egypt, and we were in my grandmother's house, my dad's mom. He hadn't been there in 21 years. We were in there. It was just so noisy. There were so many people. And I was like, I've got to get out of here. So I went downstairs, and they have these old men, my age, and they sit in front of the door. A door is a bab, so they call it a bawab. The man is a bawab, means a doorman. And all he does is sit there, and he watches the door, and he kind of says, hello. And he remembered me from when I was 7 years old. He said, Ahlan ya Momo. That was my nickname, And he said, Ahlan ya Momo, which means hello. When I walked in, I was stunned. I said, how did you know me? He said, you look the same. Yeah, you look the same. I couldn't believe it. And so I had to leave. And he said, where are you going? I said, I just have to get out for a while. And he said, coffee shop. So I went down, and here is this on this, like a sidewalk cafe, but not like anything you might find in Paris. This was a Cairo. They call them an ahwa, which means coffee. And there are these tiny little tables and these chintzy little chairs, and I sat myself down, and the man said, what do you need? I said, shisha, which is a water pipe, a hookah. And they're not like the fancy things you see. These are, bare basics. And they put tobacco in it that is mixed with molasses to keep it. And they put wood on top of it. And I said, ahwa. And he brought the coffee. I had some money. I didn't know what it was because it was Egyptian. And I just held my hand out. He said, in a minute, Malish, it's okay. And I sat there and I watched Cairo go by. Cairo. This ancient city, thousands of years old. A donkey pulling a taxi, a bus with, 1,000 people on it. It's just ridiculous. And then my dad suddenly came in, and he came by and he sat there. He said, may I join you? I said, of course. What could be better than that? And we sat down together and we talked. It was so beautiful. My dad and I watching Cairo go by, his country, in the house where he was raised, next to the house where he was raised. The Bawab told him where I was. And he came down, we sat, and he talked about growing up in that neighborhood and said, well, they paved it. you know. And the Baweb was the son of the Baweb that was there when he grew up. And that's what this is for. And someday my son will remember being with me last week, having coffee, you know, giving me this hat. That's what this is about. Renee said, I could make meatloaf for my dad. That was one of his favorites. Yeah, that's what it's about. And Pamela, it was your birthday. Happy birthday. Yeah, just celebrate all month. Exactly. You should celebrate all month. You should. Life is a celebration. That's what this is. It's not a celebration of fear and I mean we turn it into kind of a celebration of fear, but in a jovial sort of way, which is what it should be. That's what I was trying to get across last week in my show about the haunted house I lived in. I learned to love that fear. I did. I only feel it now in dreams of that house, where the fear is paralyzing to me, but it's also delicious. I don't know how else to put it, because I was terrified, but it's also something I felt. I was a kid. Getting screamed at by a ghost is something you remember. Seeing one is even more powerful, because it electrifies everything within you. Now, there are other people who probably handle it much differently. I've seen others, mostly in graveyards, cemeteries. And it would take me a while to realize what I have seen. Oh, that's what's happening. And you just go, okay, that's okay. I understand now. I understand. It's not like in the movies. And I don't know what that is. But what I do know is that there's something very beautiful about all of this. And this experience of life is singular. Although there are over 8 billion of us on this planet, what happens with us, we need to appreciate and love it. We need to absolutely embrace it. So what you do is you get some food you like. I like things like squash and apples. I will definitely eat an apple. I like apples. I like squash. I like acorn squash. Doesn't matter what it is. It can be bread, just bread. And all you're doing is you're eating with, once again, intention to celebrate the earth, to celebrate life, to celebrate the harvest, and to be thankful. And I do this alone pretty much because I am what I call a true believer. In what? In this. In life. In earth. Yeah. These are oak beads. I sprayed them with a fixative so they look really shiny. But these are oak beads. And I'm going to show you a symbol here. If I can get it off without. I think I'll just show it to you here. This is my favorite, one of my favorite symbols. It is the winged scarab. This particular symbol is taken from the temple of Dendera, the temple of Isis at Dendera. It is the winged scarab, and you can see that there are 2 solar discs, one on the top and one on the bottom. One is big and one is small. What do you think that represents? It represents the 2 equinoxes, right? the solar equinox, the summer equinox, and the winter equinox. At the winter equinox, this is my theory. So if you tell this to someone and they go, you're just full of, you can say, blame the weird guy. The summer equinox, the sun is, hot, beaming. The winter equinox, the sun is doing the best it can. Summer, not so tiny on the, So, and what is the scarab in the zodiac inside in the temple of Isis? On the zodiac they have inside on the ceiling? A scarab. It's Cancer, right? So the Tropic of Cancer, which is where that took place, and the Tropic of Capricorn, which is where the winter equinox takes place. And I think that what we're talking about, you see, because what happens is that from now until the solar or the winter equinox, the sun gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So this becomes very important. This, by the way, is a representation of the Aubrey holes at Stonehenge. So you can actually predict eclipses with this. You can predict the lunations with this, but I don't. I may remake it towards smaller so it's not doubled up, because it's doubled up, it's a bit, too much. And I may do away with the acorn, because that's a bit much too. And I get a bit much at times. But so what Samhain is a cross-quarter day, because what Beltane is the opposite end of this. Beltane, May 1st. Well, it's actually May 5th, 6th, right around there. What Beltane is the other side of this. It's kind of the opening of the other, it's of life. May Day, life. May Day, we take the little, the virgins, and we send them from house to house, and we get money from them so they can then, or money or food, so that they can then take it out and have a big feast, like. So you just take a moment. If you want to ring a bell, ring a bell. I won't ring a bell. But it'll make my dog go crazy, and I don't want that, Do whatever feels good. Take a prayer wheel. I have prayer wheels. I'm not going to bore you with that right now. Do whatever. Take a moment and embrace your life and make it about you. This tomorrow is a holy day and has been for 10,000 years, because our ancestors observed the skies and they saw that this was a stop along the way for the sun. This was a cross-quarter day. The next cross-quarter day is in February the 2nd, Groundhog Day, right? But that's Imbolc, which means apparently in the belly or pregnant. Why? You know why? Because animals become gravid about that time, and they will then give birth. It's between the solstice and the vernal equinox. The next one after that is Beltane, right? And then the next one after that is Lunasa, which is in August. We'll talk about that when we get there. So, and if you miss it, don't worry. If you're watching this after the fact and you go, oh, I missed it, don't worry about that. For goodness sake, there's so much to celebrate every day. And you can do it after the fact as well. All you have to do, it's consciousness, isn't it? It's just saying, I appreciate it. Halloween is fun. There's no doubt about it. With the kids and the candy and the more candy and a little bit more candy and then the Ritalin and, what we do to each other. have fun, okay? And my time, as it is done. Not on this planet, I hope, but at least on this show. So until next week, I wish you all peace. I wish you all love. And I mean it. I love you. So have a lovely, lovely Samhain. Enjoy yourselves and have a good time. I'll talk to you later. Peace and love. Bye-bye. Until next we meet, I'll be waiting for you right here in the Paisley Penny Arcade.